Hi, I'm Bob Wells, and welcome to the Get Real Show, brought to you by Keystone Partners Group. The Get Real Show strips away the myth and the mystery surrounding success in real estate. Today, I have a very special guest, Wayne Megill. Wayne is the owner of Megill Custom Homes and the owner of the Wayne Megill Real Estate Sales Team, both headquartered in Brandywine Valley, just west of Philadelphia. It is my pleasure to have Wayne with me today. Wayne?
Thanks, Bob. Yeah. Good to see you.
So tell me a little bit about your world, your business, and how that looks.
Oh, which one, right?
Oh, take a pick. Either one works.
Well, they're all interlinked and
how about the construction world first?
Yeah, the home building and home renovation and construction industry's been on quite a ride since the economic downturn in 2007, 2008. So 35-year-old
company, though, right?
Yeah. A little bit older than that now, actually.
Wow, okay.
So my father formed the company in the 70s. And my brother and I both actively run the business right now with our dedicated staff. Primary focus on residential home construction, residential home remodeling of some large scale as well. That's our focus. With the economic twists and turns, we've moved in and out with a little more renovation, a little less new home sales with land development industry changing, lending industry changing. We've done our fair share through the lowest points of the housing market in what we refer to as the fix and flip business, where we're buying dilapidated housing stock, bringing it back to life, and reselling it, allowing us to get into price points that were not as affected by the downturn in the economy.
Sure.
So it's been an interesting few years. Our business has made a lot of changes through that, but we really see a nice path and growth over the next 3 to 4 years.
You have a history in land development also, correct?
Correct, yeah. We do a lot of the land development work. In the past, we did primarily all of our land development work for our own subdivisions. The industry on that side of things has drastically changed. The regulatory impact, the lending impact, it's become a very, very specialized and challenging business. And it's really hard to do both, to be focused on the land development side and the home building side. So our focus now is more on the home building side. We look at land development as a quote-unquote necessary evil on some smaller projects that we want to do. But for the large-scale land development projects, we usually partner up with guys that are land developers primarily, because it is just such a crazy specialized industry right now.
And you have a real estate team as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is part of it.
Yeah. So they work hand in hand, would you say, or how does
there's
how
a portion
that work?
there's a portion of that works hand in hand. So we have our new construction sales agents who work directly with the home building side for the sales of those properties and projects, and then we have our what we call residential resale specialists, standard listing agents, buyers agents, and support team. So while they're interrelated and there's a lot of sharing, a lot of ability to share administrative tasks and duties, that works really well. And then also it allows us to branch out into the business. Most of our homes are upscale, so the majority of our home buyers are not buying their first home, so they have a home to sell.
Sure.
So there's a nice marriage there.
Nice.
That we can help them sell their existing house to get into their new home. Obviously, a lot of people have relationships with somebody maybe before they come to see us, so not a mandatory effect of the business, but something it's about how can we serve the most people that we know. My brother and I are both very active in our community, and how can we serve the most people that we know within our community, because not everybody is a client for a new home build.
Sure.
However, they look to us for expertise in any aspect of real estate, and we spend a lot of years giving out a lot of free advice. And
so what does the structure look like for the two sides? How many folks are working for you, with you on the construction side, and how does that team look like on the resale side?
Sure. So my brother primarily runs our Megill Homes operation, our construction business, and then he's on that staff. We have an operations manager running the day-to-day, as well as controller, administrative staff, and then one project manager, and then multiple field employees.
Okay.
And then on our real estate side of things, we have, again, administrative work and about four agents on the team. And then as well as myself, where I spend more of the day-to-day overall running of that business. And then for the Megill Homes business, I run the overall corporate structure type of stuff on that business, because that's where it interrelates, right? Once we get all the way up to the top,
Sure.
accounting, planning, and those type of things, because the two businesses aren't moving together. That's certainly an issue.
Now, do you see that happen in your market where building and resale come together, or are you kind of an anomaly there in your world?
I think we're a bit of an anomaly. I don't see a lot of my peers in the home building industry doing what we're doing. I've talked to them a lot about it. I've got a lot of good friends in the business and in the industry. We share ideas, we bounce ideas off of each other. People come to me and ask, hey, why did you do that? How does it work? How has it not worked? And for whatever reason, there's a reluctance for some people. I'm fortunate in the fact that the way our organization's structured with my brother and I.
You've got two brothers.
We've got two of us, and we have some different strengths and weaknesses. And we're pretty good at recognizing that and building off of that. So it's been a success for us. I mean, it was the child of necessity when the market was crashing. We simply just couldn't afford to pay somebody to offload houses and land at a loss, which is what we were doing in 2000, through 2008, 2009. And we were looking at our books and saying, this is, where can we save money? And we were saving money everywhere we could. And we just looked at the real estate side. And we actually had a landlord-tenant relationship with Keller Williams, Brandywine Valley at the time,
So your Keystone Partners Group had an office in your building?
In our building, yeah.
Right, okay.
But we were listing our real estate elsewhere.
Sure, okay.
And one of the things I respected most about Keystone Partners Group and Keller Williams is that it was never, they never attacked me, right, for the listings. They just said, it's a win-win, and when it's a win for you, you'll call.
We're here
and we'll talk
in the
about
next
it.
office.
And that's kind of what happened one day.
Sure.
And and then we went. But it was just kind of out of necessity. We said we are losing money, everything we sell. It was the nature of the market. How can we hold on to? And that's really how it came about, with us saying, all right, we're going to join with Keller Williams and take the real estate in-house and just do it ourselves. And at that point, we whittled all the way down to one sales agent. Who had been with us for many years and still is. Yeah.
Tell me about what it was like to grow up in a family of builders. I mean, did you immediately kind of get involved in the family business, or was that kind of a process?
The building, construction, and real estate industry was from day one. I started working in the business as a preteen. Middle school, high school summers, and vacations. It was just, it was a very hands-on business at that point with my father and how he and my mother were growing the business. And we had at that point, we had a lot of employees at that point. We ran multiple framing crews. We did all of our own framing work. My father was a framing contractor by trade, is how we got into it. And through the business that way. So we held on to that a while. I mean, eventually got to the point where just as the economy has specialized in so many things, that was just one of those things that you just couldn't, it was just hard to do anymore with regulation and unemployment benefits. And there's just so many layers and layers where, and really it's to run an effective business. But so I grew up in the business from everything from,
swinging the hammer to
swinging the hammer would be a good day. This was back in the day when we hand tarred foundations, and
oh wow, okay.
I spent all of my teens with a buzz cut because I had tar in my hair and had to shave my hair every time Dad finished the foundation. Scott and I got to tar it, and then Mom and I got to take us to the barber shop to shave all our tar-ridden hair off.
I was hoping for a silver spoon story. I don't think I'm going to get it.
No, I mean, we got. There was a lot of. My parents presented my brother and I an amazing opportunity and an amazing company that had a fantastic reputation for us to take and move to the next level. They're still both very active in the business from an advisory standpoint. But yeah, it was really, for my parents, important that we understood the business from the ground up. And that is really the foundation of our business. And our real estate business is when we go to sell people, it's at the end of the day, you're buying a home. And the majority of realtors don't understand what it takes to create a home.
From nothing.
From nothing.
Yeah.
From a concept of a farm field into a home. So whether that's, from land development and, all kinds of engineering and things you have to think about, steep slopes, tree ordinances,
I guess you have to live it to understand it.
Impervious coverages, people say, well, there's a big plot. It's 4 acres, and it's 2 acre zoning. That means I can get 2 2-acre lots, right? It's not that simple, So having that understanding, I think, really provides a value to our customers. And that's really at the heart of it. Our message from our real estate company as well as our home building company is understanding it really from its roots and being able to provide that service and value to people. And really, that's why, we're able to successfully recruit agents to work for us, because they love people, they love sales, and they want to help people. Most realtors that are good genuinely want to help people.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're good at that. And the real good ones know what they're not good at.
What to leverage, right?
And how to leverage, and that's where we come in, and we can really assist there and help that. And it's a strong sales message, and it's successful, and we really can provide tremendous value, is what we think, because that's the name of the game. People have a choice, and we want to provide value and be their choice.
Awesome. So when between the preteen doing all the jobs and today, did you go to college, formal education?
Yep.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. I went to Villanova, graduated in '93. That would be the 2016 National Championship.
Nice.
Villanova. So yeah, it was an exciting year for Villanova this year. But yeah, that was a great experience for me. It was an exciting time. My brother and I were the first, people of my parents and grandparents that went to college.
Oh, they must have been excited about that.
So it was very exciting.
Yeah.
It was exciting, and my parents are both Philadelphia natives, so it's they were really proud.
What did you focus on in school?
Business administration.
Okay, great.
Yeah, my brother went to Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania, in central Pennsylvania, again focusing on business administration. And at that point, I had pretty much decided I was going to go into the business of real estate and home building, which never knew exactly how it would take shape. But when I graduated college, I went right to it, went right to work, and it's the only job I've had. I haven't looked back. So,
how do you keep sharp? How do you stay the best version of yourself personally? What do you like to read? What do you listen to? What do you watch? What do you attend?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of. Like everybody else in life, I've had some ups and downs,
Sure.
And had to kind of find that for me. And I've had some, personal struggles which have taken me off path and put me back on path. So for me, currently, the concept of competition is what keeps me sharp. I like to compete. I just feel if I'm not competing, I'm not pushing, I'm not growing. So I played rugby my whole life. Well, not my whole life, but since college. And I've had tough sport. I've stopped many times. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things that keeps me alive. It keeps me fresh. It gives me something to strive for. So I play with a couple teams that hit a couple tournaments throughout the country. I play a couple times a year, so it's not the week in, week out banging, but we've got
need to recover a little bit.
Yeah, and we're also playing what I like to refer to as age-appropriate rugby, right? So we're not playing against a bunch of 22-year-olds.
Yeah,
guys in their 40s playing against guys in their 40s. So and it's awesome competition, and it's some of the top players in the world that still do this, and it's phenomenal. Yeah. On a daily basis, my wife and I found CrossFit my wife's a personal trainer, teacher by trade, become personal trainer. We found CrossFit in 2000, probably 12, something along those lines. In the process of that, CrossFit became a tenant of mine in one of my office buildings. That business was failing, and the owners wanted to hire my wife to run it, and she came to me and said, hey, how about we buy it? I said, sure, what's another business?
And it's in your building.
And it's in my building, so I pay myself
rent. You
rent.
can commute easily.
So I can pay myself rent, easy commute. So that's a business that my wife and I have together.
Awesome.
That's a really fun and energizing business with an energizing group of people, constantly challenging, constantly competing for me, day in, day out with, athletes that are, push me to be my best and push hard. And it's really it's a lot of fun. It's aggressive, it's intense, but it's challenging, it's fun, and and for me, it's another business opportunity, and it's another spot. I'll tell you, it's a great feeder for the real estate business.
Sure. There you go.
I really get to know people on a really personal level. And real estate's a relationship business.
It sure is.
And CrossFit, in the same vein, is a relationship business. People are coming in and trusting us with their well-being and their health and fitness, and we take that very seriously. We've got a great team of. It's the same thing. It's about a team. We've got a great team of coaches that work with us in that CrossFit side of the business. So that's a big part of it. And then obviously family. Family is extremely important to me. I have 5 kids.
Wow.
So that keeps you young and going.
I bet.
Yeah. My oldest son is 22, and my youngest daughter is 18 months. So I've been changing diapers in three different decades. My claim to fame, changing diapers in the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s.
Awesome. So sometimes we look at the real estate industry in general. It doesn't matter, builders, realtors, anyone in that industry. It's relatively intense, and I think oftentimes people find it difficult to find time to exercise and take care of themselves. You obviously find the time. How do you do that?
Get up early.
Get up early. What time do you wake up?
The days vary. I look at every day as its own day. So I'm a routine guy to a point, but not that everything has to be the same. So, like my schedule, for example, if I'm doing land development work, I have to meet at township buildings at night. I prefer to work out in the evenings, right? But if I can't, I can't. I got to work that night. So I look and say, all right, Wednesday I got a township meeting Wednesday night, which means, all right, I'm going to have to get up early and work out at 5:45 a.m. Generally, then work that night, which generally means, hey, the next day I'm probably going to give my body some recovery and sleep in a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not a 9-to-5 job from life. It's it's a totally, completely intertwined life, and I have the flexibility to treat it as such by owning my own business, by having a great partner with my brother and a great partner with my wife. So it's one of those. It's just one of those things. I treat it every day. It's in its own. But yeah, it's sometimes it's working late. Sometimes it's getting up early.
But the workout's a ritual every day, pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean, I build some recovery. You got to build a couple of recovery days in here and there. But
any other rituals that kind of are almost on a daily basis, or things you like to do on a regular basis to stay sharp, stay on your game?
Well, I mean, there's for me, knowing my markets is of prime importance for me. I have to know what's happening in my marketplace every day, and I have multiple marketplaces that we work in. So
3 states or more now?
Currently, we're just working in 2. We were doing work in Maryland. Currently, we're not.
Okay, that's Pennsylvania and Delaware.
Pennsylvania and Delaware. Actually, probably going to pull a New Jersey real estate license and start doing some real estate work in New Jersey. We've got a lot of friends and relationships on the Jersey Shore, so that secondary market's a strong market we're looking to get into. But so knowing my markets is an important part of my daily to-dos of getting me energized, which is, for me, is getting on MLS and going through everything that's transpired in the 20 to 26 hours that have passed since I last went through it line by line. That's really important to me, is knowing it, because I don't know who's going to ask me what during the course of the day on which one of my operations. So I need to have that together. So that's a daily thing for me. Other than that, really important to me is I've got a great staff and a great team of people, and communicating to them and being available to them is of extreme importance to me and to my operations. We do as simple as it is. I don't know why everybody doesn't do it, but we have a simple, what we call a stand-up call at 11 o'clock every morning. It's 11 to 11:15. It's not longer. It's not the time for long drawn out conversations. It's a quick touch base. Is everybody on the same page? What's going on out there that has to be handled right away? Does anybody need anything out of support? And then a quick accountability back and forth. Everybody on my team, and we combine the new homes and the sales, everybody's got certain goals they have to meet, and we report on our goals on a daily basis. Did you do what you were supposed to do yesterday with an accountability thing? And that, again, keeps me sharp, keeps everybody else sharp, lets me know exactly what's happening.
So everybody on your team has goals that they're responsible for?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And how do you develop those? Is that
we develop them as a team.
Okay.
We look at them as a team and say, what is it that you need to do to, it's the same thing with important goals, right? They have to be definable. They have to be achievable. There's certain things in goals, my goal isn't to fly to the moon by flapping my arms, right? That's not going to happen. So we look at it. So for some of my, like my brother, for example, because he's not day-to-day selling, his goal isn't to take, one listing contract a week, which would be the goal for my listing agent.
Right.
My brother's goal, because he's running that side of things, is to network and to make, he has a certain number of networking calls he's set himself to make a week, right? To say, looking for land, looking for building opportunities, looking for residential renovation opportunities, reaching out to agents he hasn't seen in a while, just people we know, bankers, anybody. Right? It's just about, so everybody's goals are a little different.
So everybody's lead measures are a little bit different based on their role.
Based on the role.
Right. And then you have a team goal that I assume collects all the individual lead measures and individual responsibilities.
And then puts them in. And obviously the home building side has its set of goals. The real estate team has its set of goals, but it's the, it's the day-to-day action to get to the finish line that we're looking for.
Sure. Tell some of our audience members about the things you've learned about hiring, because I think everybody wants to know, how do I hire people, and how do I make that process work and hire the right person?
Yeah, I wish I could sit here and profess to be an expert on that, but I think the oldest adage in the book, which is the hardest to live by, is probably still the most accurate, and I'm still working on getting better at that all the time, which is, slow to hire, fast to fire. It's
make sure you get the right person.
You got to get the right person the first time, and when somebody's not working out, if it's not working out for you, it's probably not working out for them either, and the bigger person's the one that has to bring it up to the forefront and say, hey, this isn't working.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And because most times, if with enough parting of ways with different people, at the end of it, it's not, nobody feels beat up. There's all that, perception of, generally the person that you're letting go generally expected it.
Yeah. They know
generally almost wanted it.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I've had to let people go because of economic conditions in the past. People that were doing a really good job.
That's hard.
And that's a totally different ballgame.
Yes.
That's a different animal. But when you're having a growing business and somebody's not contributing to the growth of it, they're also seeing other people grow and them not grow. So when you step back and look at it, that's a tough thing for somebody to watch, and you're actually getting them out of that situation. Sure. In a position where they're not being successful every day.
And helping them to find something that really is a better match for them.
Something that's a better match.
Something they'll be happier with.
That's it. But it's a challenge. I mean, and you got to be patient. And a lot of times there's roles that need to be filled, and you need to put, you need somebody in there. More so on the home building side of the business, right? Where we physically need people to do things. So and we can subcontract a lot, but there's certain things we need people to do with management. And things like that, and it's a challenge, and we're a little gun shy, sometimes to
common in any industry is that hiring, getting the right person. It could be a very, very expensive mistake, can it?
Yeah, I think I've had very expensive mistakes.
Could you think of one that was a really big one, and how you might have avoided it? Really big mistake.
We've been pretty fortunate and pretty attentive to detail in hiring people and putting them in positions where they and when we put people in a position that there is a level of supervision and management before we pull away, as opposed to just send somebody out on their own. To
gradual change in control.
Yeah, so that's important. That's an important part of the process too. I guess if the question was, hey, to the audience, how do you do that? Well, that's a big way to do it. Is make sure that you're focused on training and that gradual transition of control, so it doesn't become a horribly costly mistake. And you're going to learn really fast if you've got the right person or not. By doing that way. Do they take more? Because if you want a position where somebody's independent and they're not taking more, there's a problem coming eventually. But it's but when you're in the weeds, it's hard to see it sometimes. But I've certainly had we've had bad hires. We've had estimators for the construction team that brought in subcontractors maybe that didn't. That they had relationships with really didn't match our values as to what we were trying to do as far as quality and relationships and how people treat other people and do things on a certain job. And obviously there's economic impacts, but I'm not seeing. I fortunately don't have that drastic story where somebody came in and embezzled $1 million from me. So
that's a good thing.
So I'm glad. I could say I've got I've got some scars. I don't have anything that jumps out at me like that I'm going to lay down on this table here and cry. So
good. Do you have a way that you find has been really effective for you in identifying talent? Do you work more through getting people referred to you, or do you do advertising? How do you manage that?
Yeah, fine. There's so many available options. Obviously, with anything, just like in the real estate business, right? A referral lead is 10 times more likely than a cold lead. So if we can refer people or get people referred to us and find people through our partners in the industry, again, as you stated earlier, our family's been in this industry in a very specific region for, pushing 40 years. So we know a lot of people and have a lot of relationships, and we can tap those to look for people. We stay very active in groups that are important to our industry. The Home Builders Association for us, both at the local level and at the state level, are really important avenues for us to just to stay involved in and to know people that move around and are in those circles.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of networking. It's a lot of networking, a lot of trusted relationships that we have in there, and similar things with the real estate groups, with down in our neck of the woods, Suburban West Realtors Association, and staying close with them. And but we do use recruiters. Really, what I realized, one of the things we had a real problem hiring agents, because I looked at the process the same as I would hire talent for my construction business and industry, and it didn't work.
What was different?
Just looking for a different type of person. A different. You're really looking for, not to say that realtors aren't task-oriented. It's not what I'm trying to say, but but a construction manager, for example, or a site superintendent, extremely task-oriented, and that's a language I speak and I can read and I can see really quickly.
Yes.
So I was better at that interviewing and hiring process. Whereas hiring sales agents, I started hiring people that were like me. Right? Probably everybody's mistake. And guess what? If I was that good, I wouldn't need to hire sales agents. I'd be able to do everything myself, right? So you end up making that mistake, which a lot of people make. So that was something is really for me is allowing other people to be involved in the process of interviewing, recruiting, and hiring. Is we kept it. We were so letting people into the inner circle that sometimes you got to back away a little bit and say let other people interview and bring to us the best candidates, as opposed to vice versa.
Has either one of your businesses started to use behavioral profiling to look at the natural behavioral style for people and then consider that?
Yep. So we did. I've taken the Keller Williams Recruit Select program.
Yeah.
Actually did it with this really neat lady who was my partner in there. You might know her.
Usha Patel.
It was.
She's wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the first time I met Usha. It was several years ago when I took Recruit Select and we partnered up and got to get to know each other real well by going through that personality profile with her.
And for our audience, Usha Patel is the Director of Productivity Coaching for Keystone Partners Group. And
Yes.
I've been married to her for 28 years.
And she's a wonderful lady. And she read my personality profile and didn't run out of the room screaming. So that was, so she's got some thick skin too. But 22 years of you probably
She's got
probably helped that out.
skin thicker than most.
But anyway, that was an amazing process for me. And I use it in all my hiring decisions for everything. Maybe not the full profile. If I'm hiring, obviously the process has to match the position that you're hiring for.
Yeah.
But at bare minimum, some sort of personality profile, be it a DISC profile or something, just to also help. And it also helps when I am empowering other people in my organization to make hiring decisions, to make them use it, because it makes you think about especially if you're going to be that person's superior, which is really what's important. For me to hire somebody and then say, all right, Bob, this person's working underneath you, you need to be part of that decision. And by involving that personality profile, part of it is it makes the person doing the hiring think about, what's my personality profile? How does it meld with theirs? Am I going to be able to work with this person day in and day out? Are they going to be able to work with me day in and day out? We have a lot of strong personalities in our organization, and
everybody has to collaborate.
And everybody has to collaborate, and that's what I talk about. We don't have to agree. We don't have to agree on everything, but we have to collaborate.
Let's get real on collaboration, because I like that subject. How do you find that your companies collaborate with Keystone Partners Group, your teams? Is there collaboration there?
Yeah, absolutely there is. My collaborations with Keystone Partners Group probably a little different than a lot of people, because my relationship with Keystone Partners Group started with a landlord-tenant relationship.
Sure, yeah.
So I got to know Mike Campbell real well at the really the early blooming stages of Keller Williams in southeastern Pennsylvania.
2004?
Yep, 2004.
Yeah.
Wished I jumped on board then. Probably one of my probably one of my bigger professional regrets of all time was, should have jumped on right there. It was, but at the same point, 2004, I think in 2004, our organization built, it was the first year we beat the threshold of 100 houses a year.
Your focus was
entirely different, right?
Yeah, of course.
So it was, it was a different ballgame. And at that point, we were diversifying into some commercial holdings as our diversity. We were building our own corporate offices. But we built a building much bigger than we needed, with the assumption we were going to grow into it.
Yeah.
So I started collaborating with Keystone Partners Group on there. Funny part was, as things reversed, I've actually moved completely out of that building, and Keystone Partners Group and Keller Williams Brandywine Valley have completely taken it over. It's gone completely the other way than we expected. But I have another office building that we own, and I wanted to work with Keller Williams Brandywine Valley, Keystone Partners Group, give them the space they needed to be successful. I was fortunate enough to be able to be given the opportunity to purchase a couple shares of ownership.
So you're a partner.
So I'm a partner in there, and I'm really proud of the growth there and the team that we have there. So I've had a relationship from there from day one of them becoming into that market there at Brandywine Valley, and gotten to know again that group through Mike, yourself. The teams, and then really got indoctrinated into the Keller Williams culture, and that's where, to me, that's where that collaboration, that light switch flipped for me, once we finally got into it and got into the mindset of growing businesses, and staying energized and staying charged, and I had a lot of stuff going on in my own personal life through some of those periods of time too, that really, that timing was perfect for me. Not to overly burdened, but we're getting real here, right? So,
Yeah, sure.
so I struggle with alcoholism, and I'm an alcoholic. I've been in recovery for a little over 7 years right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was in the timing that I was really getting into that. So that whole mindset of looking at your life and your business as one, and being willing to, to grow and being willing to flex, was really resonated with me. And it was the timing and the availability was there when I needed it. Learned a ton from those people, from the programs, going to mega agents, going to
You've been to
family
Austin
reunion,
MegaG Camp?
been to Austin MegaG Camp.
What was your impressions of that? It's interesting. It's a for our listeners, it's a one-time event that happens once a year, Austin, Texas.
Yep.
And designed for people who are doing $6 million in gross sales volume and up in a given year. And you attended that. What do you think? I've been there a couple times too.
Yeah, it's a really it was a really great program. It was really positive, high energy. Some of the consistencies that you see in people that are successful in the business. And it doesn't matter where they're from in the country. It's their work ethic, it's their discipline, it's their energy, right?
Common threads.
Very common threads. It's their willingness to grow, right? People don't go to an event like that and with the mindset of, I'm going to tell everybody else how to do it. Everybody goes to that event with the mindset of, I want to know how to do it better. Right? Yeah. How are you guys doing it better than me? Right? And that is such a change from other types of professional trainings and environments I've been in. And to me, that was really that. Back to, you talked about collaboration earlier, and we talked about that. But it's really impressive with that, and not just that. It's the sheer quality of the presentations being done, the sheer quality of the people that they bring in from the outside, having been to plenty of training shows and training events and things like that with multiple organizations. Just the quality of the events, and family reunion, really the same thing, but just it's such an amazing quality. It's always been impressive to me.
I would agree with you. I think that when people are there to learn, and the majority of people at an event like that, which could be very ego-driven,
right,
are there to learn, it really shows that there's a learning-based culture. And I think when you immerse yourself, or anyone immerses themselves in a learning-based culture, they can only grow, right?
Yeah.
It's a way for everybody to get better at what they do.
Yep.
I guess the old adage, together everybody achieves more, probably has some weight to it.
Yeah, and it's, I think it's one of those things, it's easy to say and it's easy to hear, but you need to see it, right? And when you go to something like that and you really see it, it makes you, it makes you reflect, and it makes you hold yourself accountable. Am I saying that I'm learning based and open minded, or am I actually doing it?
And sometimes it's good to be humbled, right?
Yeah. I mean, you walk in and I've got a great foundation in the industry, and was granted a lot of opportunity from a very young age. And sometimes you rest on your laurels. And I watch people that come in with no background in the industry. I mean, you've seen these folks who say, oh, I was working at the, makeup counter at, Neiman Marcus or something, and somebody said you should get into real estate. And next thing you know, this person's selling 300 units a year, and you sit back, and it's not about, why didn't I get that opportunity? It's about how did they do it? How do I what can I pick? What nugget of wisdom can I take from that, and and make my business a little bit better?
I always ask, who they spending their time with.
Yeah.
When you see that person starting at pretty much zero, and all of a sudden they're a hero, and you say, wow, they didn't do that by themselves. What kind of collaboration? What kind of training? What kind of people are they spending their time with? It makes such a huge difference.
And that's an important part, right? And and obviously, having 5 kids. Being a parent is a really huge, important part of my life, and a lot of what you can learn in that relates directly back to that. That's all. That's one of them I always tell my kids: who are the 10 people you're spending most of your time with? Because that's who you're most likely to be like.
That's who you become.
So look left and look right. Are you happy? And if you're not, something might want to change.
Yeah. So how do you make a decision? Say, for instance, knowing what you know now, and you look back and you're new in the real estate industry and you say, okay, I've got to make a decision between how many different companies, there's tons of them out there. What's most important in that for you personally in that decision? How would you make that decision? What's most important?
I think really what I just said is walk in, spend some time, look left, look right. Who's around you? Who's around you? Are these the people around me that I can learn from, that I can grow with? That we can, or do I feel like I'm walking in somewhere to have to work for somebody, or that I have to, that there's no sharing of information, that there's no community, that there's no help. I mean, it's and I think especially for people new to the industry, if you're going to walk in, there's so many details in this business, and so much information that nobody knows everything in this business, and for anybody to think they do. That would be another one. If you walk in somewhere and somebody tells you they know everything there is to know about real estate, and that's why you should work there, I'd make a quick U-turn.
If you're not growing, you're dying, right?
Yeah, I mean it is constantly changing. And
you're not changing with it.
Yeah, and if you're not changing with it, you're in trouble. So so I mean I think that would be the things I would look for if I was telling somebody that was new to the industry, is what to look for in a company. And there's lots of great companies out there.
Yeah. Let's shift gears and get real about profitability.
Okay.
And I think it's common that in the real estate world, people talk about production and they talk about units, but there's not much discussion about profitability, about the actual bottom line profit of a real estate sales business or a real estate business, which I see a differentiation between the two. How do you look at your business, and how do you guarantee profitability? How do you protect profitability?
Yeah. So profitability is important to me. The concept of having a big business, and a bunch of flashy stuff for the sake of having it, without actually knowing what it's costing you, and without actually knowing how it contributes to the bottom line, is just it's just a death trap for so many businesses and for so many entrepreneurs.
So many agents.
But most agents in the Keller Williams model are business owners. They are entrepreneurs, right? So they have to think about that. Is you can't just go out and buy the new shiny thing. You have to be really diligent. You have to be really patient with what you do, with the relationships you make, with is just buying everything. And I think for us on the real estate side of the business, there are certain things you need to do to have your presence out there. For us, it's a little different than for certain agents. For us, our major focus for the advertising portion of our Wayne Megill real estate team is for people to realize that we are not just selling our new homes. That's a different problem than what most agents have, right? Because we have a well-founded company that's been doing the same thing for a long time in the same area. So people hear the name, they assume one thing, and they don't realize that we're there to help them. Right. So that is a real challenge for us.
You have to rebrand that.
I have to rebrand that without unbranding the other.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So just splattering it all over the place, isn't necessarily effective, because it all then just gets commingled back. So it has to be really focused and really precise, and has to bring that. For us on our real estate team, is everything we do is based on that mission, of that value, of that differentiation that we're trying to bring to the market. So that's kind of how we look at everything from that standpoint, is protection of value. Is otherwise we're just marketing to the same people, right? We're not expanding our brand any. Yeah. So that's really important. So for us, that's a big part of it, and is making sure. Obviously there's there's negotiating good contracts with your agents and that type of thing, but really. The biggest thing is just understanding where you're spending money, where you're spending your advertising money, not buying the new bells and whistles, and really keeping. I'm a big proponent of giving people growth and income potential as long as I'm making money, right? So I don't care what I'm paying somebody if it's based on how much it brings back into me and to the company.
So you're looking at a win-win.
I'm looking at a win-win. So like I tell people, if I'm paying you $1 million a year, I really don't care, because that just means I'm actually really happy. I'll probably take you out for dinner, right? Because we probably just both made a ton of money.
Sure.
And that's what it's about. So that's the upside. But then again, having lived through the downside in this business, you really have to understand your costs. You really have to understand what the bare bones that you need to operate on. And I think that's where people maybe don't look at it and don't plan for it, because everybody's planning for the sunny day and not necessarily the rainy day. So I need to know how far down I can scale my business and still, right, and still not affect,
You still want to invest in the things that make sense.
Yeah.
But not in the things that don't.
Right, and I'm not gonna, I don't want to put my house on the line and my kids' future on the line, and things like that. And I've done that before, and I got, and so I've lived it. So, so it's important to me. And there's always fat to be trimmed, and it's tough. And guess what? If people get, like all that stuff, it's hard to be the guy that takes it back, but I've done it, and it's just being really diligent when you spend that money and making sure that you're not putting something out that you can't take back, whether that's, I had it all, season tickets to the Phillies, to the Eagles, giving it to all the guys that work for me and stuff like that, all that stuff's going by the wayside. What value did it really provide? When you start looking at your numbers, is knowing how far, really knowing what the bare minimum to operate your business is. What do I absolutely have to run it? What does that cost? And to support that, what is the bare minimum of business I need to generate a year?
Yeah, I think there's such a big gap in the number of people that do this versus don't. We all know the 80-20 rule, and if I were to take a guess at the number of real estate agents who knew their numbers, literally knew exactly what their profitability was at the end of the year, I would say that'd be a very small percentage.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I would agree.
I would think it'd be less than 20%.
Yeah. And I struggle with it too. Yeah. Because I've got a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving things, and it's a daunting task.
You have a business degree.
Yeah. And it's a daunting task. So like I tell people is make it simple. Just if you just get it down to the basics, and if you can manage your expenses, right, and then you can know what your expenses are, and then and then grow, and then look at it and say, from here, then I know I'm good, and then everything else I'm going to grow my way out of it. I'm going to get my way, push the top line, but you got to know where that bare minimum number is. It's a challenge, but you're right to know it all and to know it like that. I'm so impressed with people that can do that, and I've met them at like we talked about at MegaG Camp. People just like bam, they know their numbers like that. It's
another skill set that we have to work on constantly to improve.
Yeah,
and myself included.
Yeah.
So tell me about your thoughts on personal wealth building for agents as well as yourself. We sometimes sell a lot of real estate. We have a lot of income. We got a lot of resources. Sometimes there's a disconnect between the kind of income that an agent has and the kind of wealth that they end up creating in their life. What would you say to a new agent that's getting started that says, "Hey, not only do I want to make money, I want to keep money. How do they create personal wealth through real estate?"
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. It's a fine line, right? People talk about two schools of thought that I argue out in my own head at times too. Is invest in what you know, right? That makes some sense.
Sure.
Diversity makes some sense. Well, I can't know. But they can kind of be in conflict with each other too. Yeah, sure. So if you're in the real estate business and all you do is invest in real estate, are you really divesting? So then it comes down to is being into different types of real estate. And investing in different types. So that's, for me personally and our family, that's important to what we do is making sure we own some commercial property and we own some residential rentals as well as, we make our money, so those are things that are done. And then once they're set and done, they're taken off the table, right? They're not part of the day-to-day business.
That's not part of the business.
Right. That's the difference between income and wealth, right? And you got to take your wealth and you got to protect it and you got to push it aside. So there's nothing wrong. Like I said, if you know the real estate business, then create your wealth in it, and just make sure you don't get sloppy.
Yeah. So for the realtor that would come to you and say, Wayne, I really want your help. I've been in real estate for a couple of years. I've got a pretty good income. Would you say, listen, buy real estate, buy residential investment real estate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because a bargain when you see it.
Sure.
You know the ugly duckling, right? That can become that swan, and that type of mindset is where, and the consumer, and that's what I always tell people is, if you know the consumer, you know what they don't want, and you also can understand sometimes they're wrong, right? The consumer can be wrong a lot, and they're superficial, or they don't have foresight, or they just aren't willing to put forth the work and the effort, the elbow grease, whatever you want to call it, to make something, or they just look at something and say that's all it can be. Whereas, if you can see through that, so then you got to buy it right, so you can. That's where you got to be really precise. You got to pick. You got to watch. You got to have a plan. You got to be patient, right? Just buy the first residential resale, rental unit you see.
Sure.
It's like, that, and I think that's what a lot of people do. I went to a thing. They told me I should own some rental properties, so I went out and bought two.
Yeah. Maybe find a mentor, somebody who's done it before that you trust, and you say, listen.
Yeah, and without really digging in, and that's what I look at. It's one of the biggest benefits that those of us that do this business every day have is we know what the average consumer doesn't know. And so use that to your advantage, because you'll watch, I see properties, that, just get, they're priced where they shouldn't be because nobody's buying them. And they're prime, they're because, they have value. That's it. Buy things that have value. But you're right. Having a mentor, not trying to do it all on your own. But yeah, and I think, and a lot of people shy away from that, because of like I said, the divesting thing. It's like, well, I don't want to have everything in real estate because that's what I do, so I'll just buy stocks. But then you don't know anything about it.
Right. Sure.
I don't know. I'm a hands-on guy. I like to know what I'm investing in. Do I have stocks? Sure, but not a lot. Yeah. But it's so it's, to me, there's so much opportunity there. It's take advantage of what you know and who you know, but don't be afraid to partner up with people. Which is a big thing too.
Sure.
Is you're partnering with people in your business all the time, right? So why not partner with them with wealth building? If you trust them with your day-to-day business, why would you not trust them on something like that?
Sure. So maybe
don't be dumb. Go out and get it. Create an LLC. Hire an attorney. Make it legal. Make it protect both of you. But trust the people that and do business with the people, and create your wealth. With the people that you're doing business with, and you're trusting your day-to-day income on.
Sure. So maybe an agent who has the skill set but not the money finds an investor with the money and not the skill set.
Right.
Put those two together and find a win-win in terms of compensation in an investment, and move forward and learn.
Yep. Or maybe it's an ugly property, and you got a guy that you always use for home inspection, say, and you talk to him and say, hey, you want to inspect this thing for me? Then we can partners. You can really tell me what's wrong with it, and then we can together. I know what it's worth, and you know what it's going to cost to fix it. And if we can get a deal, hey, is this a partnership that makes sense? I mean, there's partnerships that are out there, and I know some people that are doing it.
It's that kind of activity that changes people's lives.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, but they got to open them.
Yeah, got to open the door. Got to open the relationship.
Yeah, and open those eyes.
Yeah, sure.
So there's definitely opportunities out there, and I love to watch people do that, and just it's all there, if you want to work at it.
When you think about how you'd like the general public to identify your companies, if there were a couple of words that you would hope would be on the tip of their tongue when they think about you and your companies, what would those words be?
Real estate expert in Chester County. So it doesn't matter whether it's commercial, industrial, land development, new home construction, residential resale, rental property, investment property. If it's in my backyard and you're thinking about real estate, I want you to say, I need to call Wayne or Scott before I do anything. Scott being my brother. Because that's what we want to be. And that's how we look at it. Is we don't just want to be a residential resale team. We don't just want to be a remodeler. We don't just want to be a new home builder. I need all of those. They're all interrelated. So what we've done is, like I said, you talked earlier about us being in multiple states. And when the economy was really good, we were. Because we could build, I mean, it was Field of Dreams. If I build it, they came, right?
Yeah.
And then not only did they came, they paid for it. And not only did they pay for it, the appraiser appraised it. And the banks gave them the money.
Sounds like Nirvana.
So it was, I think it was called 2004.
Yeah.
2005. But anyway, so the, but the point being is, now what we've done is we've looked at it and said, let's do more in a tighter area is kind of where my brother and I are with where our focus is we're very active in our community with our children, with the things that go on in our community and our areas, and we know a ton of people. We're both married to wonderful women that are very, active and do a lot of charity work and a lot of work for the schools and know a lot of people, and we have this unbelievable network, and we need to be stronger and better at tapping it, and them being willing to just pick up the phone and call us. But we got to call them first,
sure,
right? And know we're there. So we've kind of looked at our business and said, hey, let's tighten up the area, but let's do more in the business that we know in that area.
So what's your vision for your companies, your end game?
Our end game.
Big vision.
I will say that the new home construction industry and the land development industry in the area that we are primarily focused on working on is probably not, as the way it stands right now, a very viable long-term industry and a long-term business. There's a shortage of land. It's horrifically over-regulated and unfairly regulated. It's the end users are overly and unfairly taxed and assessed when they buy a new home. The consumers having trouble seeing value in what we can provide with a new home versus an old home. Price per square foot, because they don't see what's going into it behind the scenes, nor do we expect them to have to see it. But the reality is there. We're building to codes and ordinances that are designed intentionally to slow growth and to drive the cost up, that provide they provide some minimal benefit to the consumer. They provide some minimal benefit to the environment. I'm not trying to say that E&S measures and things like that don't protect the environment, because they do, but there's a complete over-regulation in it. And I think it's just a simple thing, that an anecdote I use all the time is, what I don't think people realize is if I told you when I built you a new house, it would cost me more money, or you, because you're buying the house, more money for me to take the rainwater that comes off of your roof out of your gutters and take care of that than it would for me to take care of your wastewater from your sewage. You wouldn't believe me. It's depending on where you are, 2 to 4 times the cost to manage rainwater and stormwater than it is to manage sewage outflow. Because of over-regulation. But what that does is it makes our business very challenging. The land development approval process is very long, it's very tedious, it's very uncertain. The banks don't like to lend on it, so to me, it's just an overly risky business. Let's put it that way. And so our vision now is, as I said, we're working in a smaller area. We're still going to build houses. My brother is a phenomenal home builder, has amazing vision, amazing rapport with clients. We've got a great team. So I don't ever see us not building houses, but we don't have to chase land and chase this as our big picture. So that's part of the reason for the diversity. So what we're looking for, our growth plan really is a diverse business that allows us, my brother and I both, to be happy, spend time with our families, as well as to really protect our wealth and to grow it and create income as well. So we're doing that through some land holdings, some commercial development, and we're doing that through some residential rental properties that we own and hold. We're still going to continue to build, sell houses, and really a nimble organization that we can look at the market and say, can we reallocate resources and the people we know, right? I've got really talented people that I want to, keep employed and keep them growing their personal wealth too. But maybe that isn't in building new houses. Maybe it's in renovating older houses or buying, dilapidated houses and fixing them up, which we've done before. So we want to have a nimble organization that can move with the market, move with the trends. Like everybody else in the world, I want to then minimize my stress, right? Take a little more personal time, a little more time with the family. So those are really important goals. I mean, we worked really hard, we created a really nice business and a really nice wealth base that we watched. I lost more money, and my brother and I lost more money, I would say, in that downturn in the market than I probably ever thought I was going to make in my whole life. And that's hard to digest, but you can sit and cry about it, or you can move on. So I think that that left an effect. So I'm not willing to put it at risk again.
Yeah. As you get older, your
so
thoughts of risk tolerance change.
So we're really focused on specific types of projects. I don't need to build houses to tell anybody I built the most houses, or to tell anybody I built the biggest house. I'm gonna build what can sell. I'm gonna work for people that I want to work for, that want me to work for them. And we've had some really, in those downtimes too, is the hardest customers in the world come out. The sharks come out when there's blood in the water.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And we built houses for a lot of sharks. But they're smart, shrewd people. I don't mean sharks in a negative, like they're nasty people, but it's they're smart, shrewd people. They knew they could get the most for their money, because we had to work.
Yeah.
We don't want to be in that position if we don't have to be. So that's a really important focus for us, is to do that and to really be able to provide value in whatever the market tells us. You got to look at it. What does the market tell you that it needs? Right now, the market needs rental properties.
Yeah.
So because they're just the statistics don't lie. They're not going to change. And I saw a really interesting statistic. I'm a bit of a numbers guy. And I enjoy numbers because I think they tell a story. They don't tell the whole story. So you can't just be behind the computer screen. You got to be out on the street too. But there was a consumer sentiment survey that Builder Magazine had put out, as far as the consumers, the home buying public's perception of what the value of their home was. So they went to a bunch of people all over the country and said, "What do you think your house is worth?" And the most departed from reality in the entire nation, Philadelphia region.
Really?
Just came out in Builder Magazine this week.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So but that tells me something. Our market, they're not in lockstep with what the marketplace is, and that's the kind of stuff that, I want to have the type of business where I can pay attention to those type of statistics and react to them, as opposed to chase them when it's too late.
Sure.
That's the short answer to that really long answer I just gave you to that question.
So tell me, this is an amazing answer.
I don't even know what I just said.
I think all the listeners heard you loud and clear. But tell me, what about legacy? What do you want to be remembered for, Wayne?
That's funny because it's changed for me. I would say, to me, that one of the most important things for my legacy is to not tarnish my father's legacy. Really, that's really important to me. He really created something out of nothing with the business, and I think watched so many people of second or third generation businesses just crashing into the ground or not protected properly.
Yeah.
And I think not tarnishing that our name, our family name in the real estate industry, in the market that we're prevalent in, is probably the most important thing I can do. And you know what? And if I do that, everything else is going to be fine.
Sure.
Right? Because if you simplify the message, if I can not tarnish the reputation of the business he created, I think we're going to be able to meet all the other goals we have.
And it keeps the door open for a potential third generation of Megill Homes.
Yeah. My parents had 2 sons, and somehow out of that we're blessed with 9 grandchildren. I don't think it's anything they ever expected, but I wouldn't tell my kids, don't come in this business. Land development and home building, I'd be a little wary. Unless the climate changes, especially the regulatory climate. is very difficult.
Yeah.
But things, the housing and as the home builders often refer to it, is the shelter industry. When you take it back down to its bare bones and basics, as human beings, we need shelter.
Sure do.
And if we really you focus it all the way down to that, the shelter industry will exist. And if my children want to be involved in that, or my nieces and nephew want to be involved in that, I want to make sure there's something there for them. If they choose to pursue other things that they're passionate about, then that's great too.
That's incredible. Wayne, I really want to thank you. I know you had a long drive coming up here, and it's been an amazing time speaking with you. I learned a lot myself, and I know that our listeners and our viewers certainly learned a lot from you too, so we're very grateful for that. On behalf of myself and Keystone Partners Group and the Get Real Show, again, thank you for being here. And I invite our listeners to come back for upcoming episodes of Get Real, where we get down to the brass tacks and learn what makes the difference between failure and success in real estate.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you so much, Wayne.
Pleasure.
My pleasure.